Yes, sir. We're ready for it.
Thank you for your information. Oh, sure. We got time. Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting to order, the special meeting of the Board of Equalization. It is Monday, July 1st, 2024. It is now 10 o'clock. And the full board is present. Mr. Town?
Present.
Ms. Sellers? Present. And I'm Thompson. Okay, so we have 9 items on the agenda, really sort of 8. Item 1 has been settled. BOE number 523, Kenai Mid-Continent LLC, account number P3108563. So we will not be talking of it. The second item is BOE number 539, Power Rig LLC, and it'll be by phone. And then the remaining 3 through 9 items of the agenda have the same personal representative, and he's present already.
Her name is Sarah.
Sarah, Mr. Pitt.
This is Sarah.
Sarah, this is Ms. Thompson at the Board of Equalization. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
We're fine. Have you appeared in front of us before?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so this is how this works. There's a dispute here on value that you think should be attached to your property between you and the assessor. And so we're going to let you tell us why you think this property should be valued at $5,727,600. And then we will hear from the assessor. And since you're the property owner, we're going to give you the final word. And then we don't decide today. We decide tomorrow's our decision day. And so
Okay.
you'll receive notice of the value that we set by mail. Are you in Oklahoma City?
No, ma'am. I'm in Dallas.
Okay, so maybe Thursday or Friday you'll hear from us? Okay. So this is P3122122. And was I correct that you would like to have the value set at $5,727,600?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and it's the basic dispute as to whether you give a 25 or a 20-year life to the assets.
I think the assessor already made that
You
adjustment.
made that adjustment. Okay, tell us why you arrived at the $5 million figure.
The condition of the rig is being set at a higher condition than it really needs to be. And using a very good condition instead of an excellent condition based off of the HADCO data, the base value of the rig should be $4,644,000. And that is then adding the top drive value and the walking value, since the HADCO data does not include that. We've added that into it and have arrived at the value that we've received. Submitted, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I believe at the beginning of your notice, the property by the assessor was $7,898,746, and they dropped it to $7,547,691. Is that correct?
Yes, based off of just the life difference.
Oh, they were the ones that did the life difference. Okay, let me hear from the assessor.
Hi, good morning. Yes, that's correct. We took the original cost. It's a newer rig, and the 25-year, that task who we lean on quite a bit as our third-party vendor, used a 25-year depreciation, and I went with OTC at 20 years, and that's where I came up with the final value of $7,547,691.
Okay, what is the, do you remember when they purchased this?
It was, I think, just a couple of years ago.
Right.
I saw an acquisition date somewhere in the paperwork of April 1st of 2020. I didn't see anything on the website.
But
Yes, ma'am. This is a 2020 rig.
And what was the acquisition cost?
But it was 6.7 million according to that paperwork.
Correct.
6,726,230. That's what the 2020 tax was anyway.
Yes.
But for some reason, there was no value on it for 21, 22, 23. So can you explain that? Was it, at least it wasn't on the website.
Yeah, we didn't have it wasn't on the, we didn't have it on.
Wasn't in the county at the
Wasn't
time.
in the county at the time.
Okay, so now
Is it
how are you
stacked
all
out?
explaining the difference in, I'm not understanding how you explain the difference in the value. So she's got the walk-in value at 1,000,001. So in what condition do you put on this? Did you put excellent?
Yeah, it's excellent condition. I didn't use that Hadley appraisal value. We went with the cost and year acquired and the 20-year life versus the 25-year life.
I'm sorry, you said you used the cost, and what was the other?
2 years depreciation.
Yes.
Two years out of 20 depreciation.
And the 20, the degree, okay. But it's more, right? You're asking 7.5 and the purchase price cost was 6.7?
That's based on the calculations that the OTC require or provide. That's what it came out to.
Sarah, what do you think about the Oklahoma Tax Commission assessment or procedures for valuing?
Well, I guess I'm a little confused. If Task is who was being relied heavily on to begin with, and then it changed to OTC just for the life purposes, I'm kind of, if we're basing it off of cost, then that's not using OTC, because OTC has a different valuation schedule for rigs. I'm a little confused, I'm sorry.
Okay, so what do you think it would be according to the Oklahoma Tax Commission?
Oklahoma Tax Commission. I'm gonna pull that up.
And let me ask the assessor while she's looking that up. What valuation difference would you admit to if the rig is rated at very good versus excellent? Would it make that much of a difference?
It's an opinion of that assessing company,
Sure.
Hadley. I'm not too familiar with them, but what I do have is my my worksheet where I plugged in the 20-year cost for this M&E, and this is the value that it shows. Yeah. But,
You still looking, Sarah?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm trying to go through the handbook is pretty large.
I don't disagree, though. I mean, if the condition is less, then the value would likely be less.
You said 5 years, not quite. Yeah, we are at 5 years, but it's April.
4 years.
So in 4 years, you think it's just very good and not still excellent? Because that's kind of new for a rig. You got 16 more years to go on the life.
Right, but it would be similar to like if you purchase a car. As soon
Yes.
as you take
Roll
it
it
off the
off.
lot, in this case, take it off the line, it's no longer top value.
Okay. Okay, so if you didn't use TAS and just used Oklahoma Tax Commission, would you think you'd still be at 7+ million?
Yes, it would be the 7.8 per task.
Okay.
Per task or per OTC?
Per task would be almost 7.9, and then OTC would be 7.5.
7.5.
Yes.
You don't disagree with that, do you, Sarah?
7.5, yes ma'am, I do.
Okay. Well, I know you do for that, but I mean, using the Oklahoma Tax Commission.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so the depth rating of the 18.5. Depth rating 18.5. Times 1 times 18,500. And on the 20-year life schedule, that's going to depreciate times 0.86. So, based off of the HADCO, even in excellent condition with the top drive and the locking system, we're only coming in at like 334,000 below the value after the informal value. That's all that we're really asking for to be able to change that condition.
So you want to take 300,000 off of the 7,500,000, or where are you wanting this 300,000 to be subtracted from?
The 330,000 subtracted from the 7.5.
So that would be 7,217,000.
Yes, ma'am.
You could agree to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Would the assessor agree to that?
Sure.
Okay, I entertain a motion to set the value of BOE number 539 at $7,217,000.
So moved.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank y'all very much. Y'all have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Are these somehow related or not?
Oh yeah, they're all gonna be the same argument. I promise you I was gonna be brief today.
Oh, I don't care. We like that.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't have any notes on BOE 532, which is item 3 on the agenda. So it is number P 309-2464, and I don't know why I don't. So why don't you tell me what you want us to do with this one?
It's all, as I said, I think we have 7 accounts.
Okay.
We have 4 with Hera Midstream, 3 with Cesartel Energy LLC.
Okay.
It's the same story for all of them.
Okay.
So I'll give you the spiel. We can just talk about them all together. If you guys want to break them out separately, we can, but I don't think that'll be helpful. So just to wrap the whole thing up in a nutshell, our contention is that the sale of assets is the best way to value the assets.
Okay.
The Oklahoma Supreme Court has held that is the best way to value the assets.
Okay.
So that is the whole crux of the argument, you know, no matter where we get off to on this, that is what we're asserting and how we got to these values. My client, Petrolink Energy, acquired 6 subsidies from Kinder Morgan. It involved Hera and Scissortail that we're talking about today. They acquired the assets on February 1 of 2024 for $42 million. This acquisition spanned 25 counties in Oklahoma, about 3,000 miles of pipeline, 500 miles of an active pipeline. So where we're at today with this is we have allocated that $42 million across all the assets.
I see.
And
But wait, so at this moment I have called BOE 532. So let's look at the agenda. What you're talking about is 532, 533, 534, and 535?
Mm-hmm. And then I think those are for the Hera properties.
So you're telling me that the Scissortails,
Scissortail is the exact same. Is all.
they're in the
Part of that same
42
42
million?
million?
Yes. So included in that sale, there was Cedar Cove Midstream, Hera Midstream, PLE Oklahoma, Scissortail, and Southern Oklahoma Gathering LLC. 6 entities, only 2 were in Oklahoma County. So this sale was 25 counties across Oklahoma. As far as the sale for here, we just have those 2 entities.
They were part of the 42
They
million.
were part of the 42 million.
So you're gonna give us the breakdown of what you guys thought each of the properties were worth, or?
We did not do the breakdown. We took the RCN of the property from what was provided, just the cost of the assets, depreciated down, OTC, the whole 9 yards, and we just allocated that sales price against that. So Oklahoma County had 2.35% of the total assets. And so basically how that works out is you just take that 2.35%, you break it out against all the assets.
Are you taking 2.35% of the 42 million?
We're taking it of 33.8 million because you have to take out the intangibles involved in the sale of the membership interest of the company.
Okay, so wait a minute, just for the record here, so that anybody looking at this can keep this straight. Let me call the numbers. So the first number I did already. Item 3 on the agenda is BOE number 532, P309-2464. Item 4 is BOE 533, account number P309-2465. Item 5 is BOE 534, Hera Midstream, P309-2466. 6th item, BOE number 535, P309-2467. And the numbers go different. Item 7, 536 is P301-7694. Item 8, 537, P301-7695. Last one, item 9, BOE number 538, P309-2308. So we're gonna go back and we've got to apportion 33.8 million because you took the intangibles out. Okay, then before you do that, let me ask the assessor, do you agree with that, and is that how you did it?
It's not how we did it.
Tell me how you did it.
Well, we believe each of these accounts has a value based on the assets in those accounts. And so we, again, relied on task to come up with a value for these pipelines and equipment, and we went from there.
You agree that the life of them is going to be the same because they all were purchased on the same day? So your start date for life depreciation, whatever it is you're going to do, is going to start on the same date, right?
Across the board, yes.
Yes. Okay. Let me just have him walk through each one of them, and then I'll have you respond to each one of them. So let's do me first 532. which, tell me what you had that one, because I don't have a figure for that one. What did you have for 532?
I have different numbers than you on these account numbers. I'm thinking that is for my numbers 3092464.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. So the way I'm not trying to control this, but it's not possible to get down to the asset level based on this sale. So the sale was for the membership interest of an entire company. And so as far as breaking this down, the only way to allocate it, and this is just the way it's going to be done, whether we do it here, whether we do it at trial, no matter where you do it, this is how it's got to be done, is you take what the price was and you allocate it to the assets. So we have the price at 42 million, take out the intangibles at 33.8, and that is what all the assets in those 25 counties are worth. So what we did was we took that RCN minus depreciation for the assets, which the assessor's office would never argue with, and is almost identical to what they have it at. But we have to take this new value because the Oklahoma Supreme Court has held that the sale of the assets is the best way to value them. We had a sale on February 1st, and so those assets are worth what they sold for. That is the whole thing.
So your value less intangibles for the whole sale was 33.8.
That's correct. Okay. Yeah. And so that I can't really walk you through each one and show you. I mean, we could get some very complicated math, but it is a strict allocation for what those assets, if they were at their RCN less depreciation, OTC schedule, whatever that was, and there would be no fight between us or the assessor or anyone. It would just be that's the value. We took that value and then just allocated the sales price. So we disagree on if this sales price actually is what the assets are worth. That's kind of where the disagreement is between us and the assessor's office.
Okay, so two things.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down economic obsolescence.
Right.
So I need you to give me your argument on economic obsolescence, but the other question is, more fundamental question. Each one of these, do we have identical property? Not amounts, but identical. This is all pipeline.
It is pipeline, processing plants, amine plants, and compressor stations. My answer to that, though, I think I know where you're headed, is all of that is valued at an OTC value, right? And that's, no one's going to come in here and dispute like whatever the assessor puts that on at. We're taking their value. We're just applying a sales price to that value. So worrying about did it get allocated out correctly, like I said, today or in trial, that number is really not going to change. It's going to be how this sale is allocated to those assets.
But the paperwork showed that what you were asking, well, first of all, the assessor lowered it from 5.8 million to 4.2 million, but you're asking 579,000.
That's correct.
Right? So it's considerably less.
And I would not tell you it's not considerably less, but this gets into the economic obsolescence you asked about.
Right.
You know, the next question is how do you justify why do these assets sell for that price? And they're losing money every month on these assets because they're not operating how they were first originally built or intended to. I don't have the throughput numbers right now as far as doing a full evidentiary hearing at this point. I don't think anyone really wants to go through and do that. But you can look at the income statement and the balance sheet, and these assets just aren't profitable. They're losing $15 million a year on the assets. So that is how the value is going down that much. This is over 25 counties. I've done this in quite a few counties. There's going to be a statement of, well, let's put it at salvage value. That salvage value is going to be not include taking it out of the ground. So even if we put it at salvage value, you're going to have to go in and pay someone to take it out of the ground.
And you wouldn't be doing that quickly. Why would you buy something that you're going to scrap salvage that quickly?
They're not, but the counter argument to this is like, well, you're pricing it under salvage value.
Yes.
So why, let's put it at salvage value. Well, the reason it's not at salvage value is because if we actually put it at that, we'd have to remove it. So that's about where the price is at right now, is you have to yank that out of the ground. But I can rest for questions,
Yeah, a couple of questions. And of the 33 million, just want to make sure that the Oklahoma County part is 2.35%.
Yes, that's correct.
So that comes up to 794,300.
That's correct.
And that's how you divided it up. Are the economics just driven by the low price of natural gas right now?
It's everything. It's going to be everything. And I mean, I don't think there's a argument that whatever it was valued at on January 1 of 2024 is what it's valued at. The sale was on February 1 of 2024, so we're looking at almost the same data there. The price isn't that different there. I think, like I said, I've done this in a lot of counties. I understand what we're doing here. I'm asking for a 90% reduction. It's not lost on me. However, what I would say is these assets have been underperforming for a very long time. The
Why'd you
counties,
buy them?
well, they bought them for 44 million or 42 million. So
Okay.
that's, oil and gas industry. If the company that buys them is going to eventually develop wells, they have to have capacity to put that on. So you buy the gathering assets, and then you're going to come on and, I mean, do I know if they're going to make smart business decisions? They're going to make money? I don't know. That's not. I'm not their counsel for that. I'm here for property taxes, but that is why they would buy them. I mean, there's business reasons. They may know something Kinder Morgan needed to get off of them. They're losing money on those, so the value of these assets are the 42 million that they sold for.
Let me ask this. Maybe I should ask this, Cesar. Whichever one of you all can answer this. How are these set as, when we're talking about real property, we do boundaries. I should have my husband here because he makes the tax assessment on pipelines. So what account number 2464 versus 2465? Is it an acreage? I mean, is it a property boundary? How are we doing this? Because you do square wattage on pipeline. So,
That would be an assessor.
yeah, tell me that. Did that question make sense to you?
Yeah, no, there's an asset list based on that account, and those accounts are divided into school districts.
So is the first one, is it gathering or is it a pipeline?
I don't have it on me. It's probably a bunch of stuff. Like you said, it's based on the school district, so it's whatever portion. It could be anything. It could be pipeline. It's whatever just happens to fall in that breakout. You may have.
Yeah, that was the point of my question when I said, are they all identical? Because some of them may not have a switching station. Some of them may.
Yeah, that goes back to just that allocation, and I keep getting caught up on this in all the counties. This isn't. I'm trying to, in good faith, just kind of reiterate that the way that this sale has been allocated to all these counties,
Yes.
there's not a better way to do it. It is the cost that the assessor would have put on them had a sale not happened, and then we have just allocated that sales price to those assets. So there's, like, when we get to court, there's not going to be a new magic calculation for how to allocate these costs. It is how you allocate them.
I don't have a problem with the argument that you're making. But we have to take your argument and put it with the value disparity that exists. I have to figure out why in the world the assessor thinks something is worth $557,000 and you think it's only worth $72,000.
Okay.
So let me hear from the assessor. Let's do. Give me the two figures on 532. Yeah. What he's asking us to set the value and what you're setting the value.
Okay, this is account 3092464.
Yeah.
Okay. The appeal value comes from task again.
Okay.
These assets were, like he said, were purchased from these entities in 2023. Not that that's super substantial or relative to this case, but they were valued just over $6 million. Task comes in with a value of 5.8, and then we discounted it even more so on that. The task year life was pretty aggressive, and I don't disagree with the aggressiveness of a 30-year pipeline year life, but I still feel like it was aggressive. So that's why we discounted it more.
Okay.
To the 4.2 million.
And what is he asking for this one?
In total, I think it's easier just to talk in total, but for all the properties at issue here, it was originally assessed at 7.6. After the informal, they were all put at 5.5, and I'm asking for $793,000.
He's asking for $579,611
On this particular.
On that
on this
particular one.
particular.
579,000 even,
611,
and you're at 5.5 million?
4.2.
4.2.
4.237,951.
I'll have that. Okay. Million,
Can
okay.
are we valuing for 23 or 24 for this personal property?
24.
Or 24, okay, so the fact that he purchased, because he said it was a February 2024 purchase.
He meant
for
23.
No, he said 24.
Oh, that's what I wrote, 24. Okay, so this is gonna come out in the fall.
Well, so, yeah, again, I keep running into this. What we're saying is that the assets were worth on January 1 of 2024, this amount we're asking because they sold on February 1 of 2024 for this much money. And the Oklahoma Supreme Court has held that a sale of the assets sufficiently close to the valuation date between a willing buyer and a willing seller is the best indication of value. And I know we sit here all the time and talk about sales comparison and income approach and all that, and that's what's going to be done in court, and that's what's going to happen. And so, if you
Are
think,
you threatening us that if we don't put
No,
this
no, no,
three
no,
on one,
no.
just
I'm not
you
threatening-
ain't saying evaluation in court?
no, I just in good faith, I'm just trying to say this is nothing that I'm trying to like pull something
I
over on you guys, and this is we're all trying to work together to get
I
to
know
the
you're
best
giving
number.
the same argument.
Right,
Yes,
and
I
so-
got you.
I think a lot of times we'll come in here and do a sales comparison approach, and we'll talk about other company or other properties selling, right?
Right.
These assets sold. So that sales comparison approach that would normally be done
Yes.
is not as good as looking at the actual assets that were sold. Normally, we don't have a sale to look at. I've come in here on real property before. I haven't made it to the formal because we get it done at the informal. And it's, hey, this house sold 2 months ago for this much money. Can we put this back down to what it sold for? We're not going to go do a sales comparison approach and go look at 8 houses that sold a year ago and be like, well, no, we think that these 8 houses that sold a year ago is a better indication of value than this house that sold 2 months ago, and it's the one at issue. It's the actual house that sold. That's the value.
But what we're doing, we're setting the value which will come out in the fall for your tax purposes.
Correct.
Okay, that's
Yeah, and I guess what I'm a little bit concerned about is that, I mean, you're telling us that there was a sale of 42 million, but I don't see anything in the package. I don't see anything in the documentation. We certainly don't have anything that breaks down that tells us why these 6 properties are only 2.35% of that total sale value. So I'm not sure how we can make a decision based off the information that you're telling us without any of that documentation. And I'm assuming you all didn't have any of that. Do you have any of that information with regards to the sale? Did you all have any of that?
We do have some of that, yes. Not handy today. We were under the understanding that these were not filed timely. It came up to the wire, but they, at the end of the day, they were filed timely, and so we didn't have a chance to get that information to you.
Is this the Saturday to Monday
Yes.
notification? Yeah, I ruled that he was timely because his 15th day fell on a Saturday, and to make him late meant he had to do it by Friday, which didn't give him his. I did. If I'd have known it was you, which
I'm trying.
you called and
I'm
said,
trying. I'm
Which
trying to
is-
be nice.
So the $8 million in intangibles, how do you define that?
Yeah.
That is, at this point, from the best we can tell, the market rate for intangibles whenever this sells. And yet again, this is, I understand where we're at in this
By
process.
Brandon Company,
By brand, sorry.
that's the intangibles.
Whenever these purchase sale agreements come out, whenever they happen, we see that there's normally about 20% intangibles involved. And so that's that calculation to get it from the 42 to the 33.8. I'm not trying to say that is exactly what this is, but as I said, we're at an informal and a formal. We're trying to get this done. We're trying to work in good faith.
And see, we can't even know what this was last year because you're spanning counties. Your 42 million included non-Oklahoma County properties.
Mhm.
So we can't say, okay, how much and I
Can
know
you tell
that
us what this was last year on this particular piece of property.
The assessed value,
Yeah.
$6,103,670.
That's just for 532.
Yeah, 6
They were all-
months, so you dropped it.
That's right.
You dropped almost 2 million. Okay, I think I've heard enough on 532. So I'm gonna go to 533, and I have you 72,366 versus the assessor, who began at 557,447 and lowered to 404,682. Is that correct?
882. Is it 800?
I guess
882.
882.
not 682.
Correct.
Okay.
And the taxpayers was 72,386. If you transpose a number on that one.
Okay.
Same argument.
Yeah, it's easy, the rest of them are all gonna all be the same.
Okay, but okay,
I think we still need to read them all in.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I read them all in at first, but I did that part. So am I correct on my figures here? You're gonna have the same argument as well, that you looked at task.
I started with task and then offered a substantial discount beyond task's value.
So, but you had this sale paperwork though in the informal, right? You considered it when you made your decision to lower it, but not as much as what he's asking. Would that be a
Yes.
correct statement?
Yes.
So you had the paperwork, you considered it, you decided not to accept that argument? Or not
correct.
the sale price?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
What do you respond to the economic obsolescence argument?
Well, I believe there is obsolescence. There's a substantial decrease in natural gas prices, which all pipelines are subject to that decrease as well.
But you factored that in.
I did.
Okay. So, and then on BOE number 534, which is P309-2467, I'm so busy calling you Brad Pitt. What is your name?
Kyle,
Kyle. Okay. So,
I can answer to Brad, give me one more year, and I can figure it out.
so sorry. So Kyle is at $830. And the assessor started at $7,524,000. I'm sorry, 7,524, and lowered to 5,465. Those correct figures.
Yes.
Okay. Same argument.
Same argument.
What was this one valued at last year?
$9,195.
Okay, this is 23. All right, and BOE number 535, P309-2467, Kyle is at 9,720, and the assessor began with 69,590.
68, 519.
Well, where did I get
69.
69,590?
It was 69.
69,
All right, so I think it's fine.
Okay,
it's a lot of numbers.
okay, so you lowered it to 50,493.
Yes.
Okay. So, same argument, economic obsolescence and apportioned. And what was this worth last year?
78,731.
Okay. Okay. And then item 7 on the agenda, BOE 536, P301-7694. Kyle is at 106,767. The assessor began at 950,750 and lowered it to 690,547.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, BOE, item 8 on the agenda, BOE 537, P301-7695. The assessor began at $10,540 and lowered it to $7,656. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And Kyle is at $1,193. Okay. What was it, what was this one last year?
12,561.
1,561.
The previous one, I missed that.
536, I didn't ask, what did you have, 536? At last year?
1,150,389.
All right, and BOE, last one, BOE 538, E 309, 2308. Kyle was at 23,317. The assessor started at 178,470, and lowered to 129,626.
Yes, correct.
626.
Yes.
Okay, same argument. What was it? What were you last year?
208,271.
Okay, 27. I can't do that math that quickly in my head. I was trying to figure out if there was a percentage lowering from one year to the next on these assets. 208 down to 178, and further lowered 12,000 down to 10,540, and then further lowered and 11,050. No, 1,150,000 down to 950,000, and lowered further to 690. Are you, from last year to your beginning figure this year, are you pretty much lowering it about the same percentage?
It averages about 27% from last year's to the final value of this year's, but it's not. It's taken into the effect the years acquired and appreciation.
Now, for example, 538's got 90%, and you've got one over here that's got 33.
Okay, because he's going back historically. Kyle is not. He's wed to the sale date,
Right.
to the purchase price. Okay.
Well, and interestingly, on 538,
Okay.
the price went up from 23 over 22. From 21 to 22 to 23, the price went up.
Valuation.
Valuation, yeah, from the assessors.
Yeah.
And then it dropped this year.
Which one is that?
This one, this
The
last one, 538.
538.
I had to guess it's probably new assets, but that is truly just guessing,
guess.
because when you put those new ones on, they trimmed them up for a few years and
Right.
they're actually valued over.
Right, because he's
It
tracking.
went- it went
We're not
down.
tracking it. He's tracking.
I showed that it went down.
Really?
2023 was 208, and then
No, but the
21
year
was
before.
194,
She went back
344.
further.
22 was 194.
22.
Yeah.
Ah.
It went up from 21 and 22.
Oh.
Is what I was referring
Yeah.
to. But he's right, it could just be that it's new assets.
Okay,
Sorry.
any further questions? So you got us fighting with the assessor that he went back and did it historically, and you put a Supreme Court case in front of us, and that's what lawyers do, huh?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep friends, but it's becoming harder and harder the longer I do this. But like I said, just trying to make my good faith arguments.
Sure.
You know, I understand. You know, what we're asking for here is, you know, shockingly low number, but it's part of the process. We're trying our best to work with the assessors. So
I probably asked this before.
Mhm.
Is the main point not having a tax liability? I mean, you gotta pay something, but I mean, is the tax figure the consideration in how we run this valuation?
I mean, the valuation of the assets drives the tax figure. I mean, that's,
Sure.
you know, if you put it at 300 million or you put it at 42 million,
Right.
I mean, that's quite a bit of tax savings there. But really, it's just the fair valuation of property, which where all of us at this table are on board with whatever that needs to be is whatever it needs to be. I think the sale of these assets is starting to happen more and more, and I think it's an interesting thing that we're going to start seeing of, you know, is the sale, and it's been stated that the sale is the best valuation of the assets, but it's really hard to do that at this informal, formal stage of like how, I can't do, you guys don't want me to bring in 400 exhibits and go over all of that.
Right.
We wouldn't
We
want
would
you to
only
do
do it if you bombarded the assessor with it during the informal.
it. Yeah,
Since technically we're an appellate, we do, if they don't care, you know, if you wanna bring something new and they don't object, or they already had it, or they can
Right.
follow quickly. And, you have a pretty intelligent board. I used to do bond finance work on Wall Street for oil companies.
Right.
It's hard to lose me, but you doing a pretty good job.
I'm trying to keep it as calm down as I can, but it's.
But Ms. Sellers understands valuations, and we know Mr. Town does too, because he dealt with that. And so, okay, so we thank you for your presentation. Is that gonna be it for you for the year with us?
I unfortunately think so,
You think
unless
so?
something else pops up.
So where have you been the most? Counties?
All 25 of those.
Uh,
So yeah, no, I've been.
Western part of the state?
Yeah, I was just at Tulsa last week.
Okay.
Everywhere. I don't discriminate.
Are these in Canadian Kingfisher blame too? Are they?
There's actually none in Canadian.
How about Jackson?
Kingfisher. They should have no Kingfisher. It's all the east part of the state. So yeah, it gets up, kind of makes a little backwards L from the east part of the state. But, yeah.
Well, we thank you for your
Yeah,
presentation.
thank you guys.
And it's, our decision day this week is tomorrow, so
Okay.
before the week is out, you'll get something. Are you the one getting the notices?
Me, for this I should get it. Yeah, Jay got the last one.
Oh, well, I forget that Thursday's the 4th of July, but you'll probably get by Friday.
Okay. I might not be working Friday. Hopefully we'll see. But Brett, my dad did tell me to tell you sorry for a strongly worded email he sent 25 years ago.
Yeah, I have a short memory.
I figured you got more than one of those, so you probably didn't.
Yeah, 25 years ago. Oh yeah, I do remember that now.
I called him and I was like, hopefully you didn't have a problem with Brett, because I'm going to be dealing with him quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I think I only sent him one bad email.
Must
So
have bothered him more than it did me.
yeah. No,
Is that all for the assessor?
Yes,
Hold on a second. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let us take us off.
Thank you.
thank you guys.